TVR, one of England's craziest sports car companies since the 1960s. Famous for being fast, sketchy, and glued together. Dying out in 2005, making a comeback in 2017 with a Griffith V8. And now they're going electric? There's a lot to go over, so let's get right into it. Ever since TVR came back in 2017, they've had kind of a rough go. All of it boiling down to mainly funding issues and production issues. They've had a few different factories they've had possession of and closed, or had possession of, then the whole deal fell through, so they no longer had it. But now things are a little bit different. As of November 13th, 2025, TVR was officially part of Charge Holdings, which that first word is going to scare off a lot of people. When this first came out, so many people, myself included, had the mindset of, oh, here we go, TVR is going electric, they're going to be bust in a year. With the name of Charge Holdings and mainly Charge Cars, it's kind of what it feels like. But no. That's not actually what's happening. So what is Charge Cars? Charge Cars is a company out of England, and what they're kind of famous for right now is doing a fully electric swapped Ford Mustang. Charge Cars buys these brand new 1967 Mustang shells directly from Ford, and then does a quad motor setup on it, making an all-wheel drive EV that produces over 1,100 foot-pounds of torque. Give you these classic looks, but has modern tech. But they've been having a bit of a problem. Despite Charge Cars has been getting orders for these EV Mustangs, which they haven't disclosed how many they've got, but they have said they are there. None of them have been delivered yet, and that mainly comes down to financial issues. At this point, they're almost a year behind on their deliveries on these Mustangs that cost £350,000. But they've purchased TVR. Now they have another British company called Lab 634. What they do is they build small boutique vehicles. The whole thing is small volume manufacturing, which could become very important soon. So Charge Cars has purchased TVR, and what came out immediately was their plan of doing a EV TVR, which apparently TVR actually started talking about in 2022, in addition to a sedan and an SUV, but we'll see if we get there. Now this is where everyone got disappointed because, oh no, there's gonna be an electric TVR, which is true, but there's also no plans of TVR dropping the V8 Griffith. The whole plan is for TVR to be able to build the V8 Griffith that they wanted to release back in 2017 in addition to a EV Griffith. TVR and Charge Holdings has said they didn't want to screw with the Griffith's design. It's both pretty, it's aggressive, and it's also really aerodynamic, so it's made for a really good sports car. Charge Cars' goal right now is for TVR to build 70% of their cars as the V8 Griffith and 30% as the EVs, which I gotta say is actually brilliant. EV sports cars right now really aren't doing well, and EV brands in general are all kind of struggling. Some doing better than others, some on their deathbed. But seeing that Charge Cars is aware of this, and they're putting the V8 car first, is a brilliant move. And for those who forgot, the V8 in question is a Ford Coyote 5-liter that's been tuned by Cosworth to make somewhere between 500 and 550 naturally aspirated horsepower, going through a 6-speed manual. Winning combo. And TVR is planning on having that start around £70,000. Might be a bit more, but £70,000. As for their planning on having the EV version start at £150,000. The few who won't will get it, but it's probably not going to do that well, but since it's not the main seller, it's a good move. But TVR's big problem was they didn't have a home to actually build these. Until now. Because now TVR has Lab 634 to go build TVRs, both internal combustion and EV, so TVR is in a good spot. And this is kind of making a really beautiful circle, which frankly I hope works. Charge Cars isn't planning on building their own car. They're not planning on taking on Tesla or a Lucid or a Rimac or anything like that. Charge Cars' long-term goal is to get brands like TVR, fund them so they're actually going and hopefully bringing in money, so Charge Cars can go and make their own vehicles like the Mustang. Again, no plans of producing their own brand new car. Everyone knows how expensive that is. Charge Cars brings TVR back. TVR sells cars that actually becomes a brand again, whilst funding Charge Cars to go build their own thing, whilst both brands are putting money into Lab 634 so they actually have business. Again, this is a beautiful circle that I hope works. I'm also kind of really happy that this is what's going on, because I remember back in 2007, 2008, there was a company in England that was actually doing LS swaps to TVRs. It's kind of like the brand new TVR, and it didn't last, and like they did a few cars and nobody cared. But so seeing that this isn't completely changing the direction to TVR, this just making it easier for them to get going is so cool to hear. And there's the chance that sometime in the future, Charge Cars and TVR will part ways and do their own thing, and Charge Cars might pick up Jag. We'll see how they do in the future, or they'll go pick up McLaren because they're kind of worth nothing right now. So we'll see. I find this all really cool. I'm frankly rooting for them. I'm not a big EV fan, but I am a big TVR fan, so I'm rooting for all three companies to work. And as always, I want to know, what do you think? What's your thoughts on this partnership? Would you buy a brand new TVR if you can? And what brands would you like to see revived in some form like this? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, subscribe, enjoy the video scene, and I tend to post a couple times a week, and I'll see you later.